Gumboots, they are wonderful. Gumboots, they are swell.
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Robota.
Ready to knock. Turn the lock.
Miranda! Slow!
We're taking that card in Macau.
Hello, I'm Rhys Darby. Well, this is it, the final show. Not the final show of all shows. This is not the final show of all TV. If it was, it'd still be pretty amazing, because we're in the top 10. Pew, 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 pew. I knew when I started doing this it would be too prolonged, but I've done it now. I just counted down to 10 on my fingers. Now let's not waste any more time with that and rock into number 10. There's models, there's supermodels, and then there's, woo, Rachel.
The pantheon of supermodels is an elite place. You'll find Kate Moss and Elle Macpherson there, and one New Zealander, Rachel Hunter. Contracts with CoverGirl and Ultimo, as well as magazine covers for the likes of Sports Illustrated, Cosmopolitan and Vogue, put her on a golden pedestal. Not bad for a girl from suburban Auckland. She put Glenfield on the map.
My claim to fame is that she's from Glenfield and that's where I'm from. So as any Glenfield guy, we're always just so proud of Rachel.
Rachel Hunter first came to national attention when she was 15.
As a girl, you just wanted to be her. Of course, I was the complete opposite of Rachel Hunter. You know, I was a fat kid. I enjoyed Tip Tops, so there was like two equally attractive things to me.
What do you think it is that has made you such hot property?
I don't really know. It's the Tip Top trumpet commercial. No.
And shampooing her hair raised her above the dirty unwashed.
She spawned one of the greatest catchphrases of New Zealand history.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
And I think there's something in that for everybody.
In 1989, she made the cover of illustrious mag Sports Illustrated.
1 minute she was a cute chick off an ad, and the next minute she's this major, you know, international model.
It makes you into an immediate celebrity in the United States. If you're on the cover, then, you know, you get obviously movie offers and all sorts of things.
The movie offer was Aussie, starring Joan Collins, a koala, and our Rach.
I didn't do this.
Well, who did? A ghost?
Don't want to ruin the movie for you, but it was the koala. 15 years later, there was another attention-grabbing cover. This time, she removed her bathing suit and put on her birthday suit.
When you're in the fashion industry and you go and do something like this, it's like you're kind of creating a little bit of art, you know, and like something interesting for people to look at.
Her choice in bedroom buddies has also made a lot of headlines. First was the slightly known soft metaler Kip Winger, but it didn't take. In 2000, she traded up for leggy blonde chaser Rod Stewart. It was huge news, and their 10-year marriage kept the women's mags in business. It's been a diverse career. She's the Renaissance girl of writhing. A handful of workout videos. Stacey's mum in a Fountains of Wayne music video, as well as primetime American reality TV.
She did Dancing with the Stars in the States, and she did quite well at that. Has she done I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? Oh, God, yes, she played Ginger on The Real Gilligan's Island.
I mean, she's done better than any other girl from Glenfield, hasn't she? she's gone on for... She started eating trumpets and managed to retain her figure right through it all.
And she's still a global celebrity. About to feature in a Hollywood movie with Burt Reynolds, back home she's keeping it real with the Rachel Range at the warehouse. A game of cricket was to change our relationship with Australia forever.
This is the actual ball. This was the ball that was bowled at the MCG on February the 1st, 1981 by Trevor Chappell under orders from his big brother and captain Greg Chappell.
I call it the ball of shame.
Almost the blackest day in New Zealand sport. It's right alongside with the French blowing up that boat in our harbour. That's about one of the worst international events that's ever happened in this country.
Anything green and yellow was eliminated from my household immediately.
It gave us an actual reason to hate Australians. Up until then, we hated them, but never had any proof or reason to hate them.
Aussies are bastards. I mean, they know it and we know it. And never in anyone's life on this side of the Tasman or that side of the Tasman has anything just so evil occurred.
But what actually happened on that sunny Sunday afternoon in 1981?
New Zealand kind of stopped to watch those games, and we always feel this thing of like, Australia is so good. We're going to be very lucky to ever beat them.
They need a 6 off the last ball to tie the game. They're at the MCG, all right? It's like a kilometre to each boundary from the middle. Brian McKechnie is the number 10 batsman. I mean, come on. What are the chances?
And then you just see Greg Chappell go over and go, no, and he talks to an umpire.
It looks to me as if they're going to bowl underarm off the last ball.
Then Trevor comes up and he goes up and he rolls the ball.
They're going to bowl an underarm. We haven't believed it. And that's a disappointing finish.
That's it. Australia have won. And everyone's just like in the state of shock.
There was outrage. The only person disciplined over the whole thing was Brian McKechnie for conduct contrary to the spirit of the game, because he'd thrown his bat.
Very disappointed.
The Kiwis were upset. They'd lost the finals 2-1 because there was no way to hit the underarm ball over the fence for 6.
And I know exactly the reason he's out there.
To see someone bowl the ball under and not allow us to even have a chance is such a strong image about taking something away from someone and crapping on sportsmanship.
Even the New Zealand Prime Minister, Rob Muldoon, had a go at the Australians.
I thought it was most appropriate that the Australian team was dressed in yellow.
It was quite inflammatory. You can't imagine the Prime Minister saying it now.
It came to symbolise the rivalry between the two countries. Perfect material for a play.
Big brother, little brother, cousins fighting against each other, the spirit of fair play, and the perfect moment in trans-Tasman relations.
Let's have a kangaroo court. I got the judge right here.
Every time something comes up between New Zealand and Australia, someone will reference the underarm. Happened half a dozen times while we were writing the play.
It was directly referenced in this 2020 game when Glenn McGrath faked an underarm delivery. Umpire Billy Bowden gave him a red card. No such thing in cricket, though.
I think a lot of the animosity towards Australia on a sporting level still goes back to that moment. It's about time we let that go, I think.
It was within the rules. It said you had to have a straight arm.
Ah, but it wasn't within the rules, though.
Yeah, it was a no ball. They didn't have enough fielders in the fielding circle there.
They were meant to have 4 fielders, but they only had 3 in the inner circle or something like that.
So bowl it again, you know?
In 1997, they did bowl it again. A rematch, McKechnie v Chappell.
I can't believe that people are still intrigued by it the way they seem to be.
I guess it'll continue to be talked about after I'm gone.
The result was the same. We still hate the Aussies.
But I don't hate Australians because of that. I hate them because they're so big and loud. Hey, look at me, I can swim. Calm down, mate. And now we've rounded up a collection of kitschy Kiwi items and we've locked them in holding pen number 8.
Kiwiana is everywhere in this country, a word used to try and explain the inexplicable. Weet-Bix is definitely Kiwiana, but how can you tell what is and what isn't?
It's the voice of the people, I believe, that decides what constitutes Kiwiana. If a certain proportion, large proportion of the populace are doing something, eating something, playing a certain game, it arguably qualifies as Kiwiana.
The best way to find out is with our cut out and keep A to Z of Kiwiana. A is for Anzac biscuit.
I can't believe 2 countries are fighting over which one of these people came up with the biscuit that actually tastes like I'm eating breakfast.
B is for Buzzy Bee. Prince William had a go with the toy invented in 1948. Chocolate fish. D is for decorative power. The power ashtray was taken to the extreme in Mr. and Mrs. Flutie's house in Bluff.
This is our prize shell.
It's gone now, like the Fluties, but there's an exact replica inside the Canterbury Museum. E is for Edmund's cookbook. Scones all round. 4 square. G is for gumboots.
That's working class right there. That's down on the farm, Kiwiana.
Hokey pokey. I is for Indians.
I am Kiwiana, dude. I mean, I'm an Indian that worked in a dairy. I mean, there should be bobbing heads of me in the back of cars, you know?
J is Japanese sandals or andals. The Kiwi. L&P, world famous in New Zealand. Mince pies. Well, we didn't invent them, but we ate all the pies. N is for number 8 fencing wire. O is for Otorohanga, the town that declared itself the official home of Kiwiana, with its rugby jersey made of number 8 fencing wire.
It's marvellous. It keeps Otaronga on the map.
Plastic Tiki, the Queen. Old people love old Regina. R is for rugby. Well, actually the silver fern, but we're saving the S for Swan Dry, invented by a tailor in 1913. Tomato sauce goes good with pies and fish and chips. U is for Ugg boots, made famous by Rachel Hunter, but actually made in Australia. B is for Vegemite, or should that be Marmite? W is for Weet-Bix. XYZ, screw 'em, there's never anything good for these letters.
Kiwi kids. Oh, Weet-Bix kids. But are they?
It's loved by everyone. Aussie kids. Our Weet-Bix kids.
Oh, well, at least we've still got You'll Never Be a Kiwi Till You Love Your Waddy Sauce. Oh, the Aussies have got that too. Life's shit.
Coming up.
How's it going, Nick from Shortland Street?
And
Here's the Maori you could take home to your mother.
It is a rite of passage, like doing a yardie or a handbrake or circumcision in the 70s. Every New Zealander must appear at least once in Shortland Street. I myself appeared once. Episode 480, I think it was. Yeah, ambulance, thanks. Yeah, there's been an accident. It looks pretty bad. I think it's Steve and TP. Yeah, it's me. It's Dr. Nesbitt. Right. Yeah, I could help out, but I've got to shoot through. I've got a party. Kirsty's there. No, forget it. Is it you or is it me? No, it's number 7.
Your baby will be fine.
Shortland Street is New Zealand's longest running and most successful soap. But when it was born on May the 25th, 1992 in the maternity ward of our homes, it was touch and go for this nascent show. Would it survive?
You wouldn't have thought that if you saw some of the first write-ups after our first few week episodes. There wasn't one write-up that was good.
When I started out, I was absolute crap. I watch the stuff now and it's just embarrassing. At least I've got an excuse for being boring.
We actually really didn't know what we were doing, to tell you the truth.
It got such a very negative reception initially, and they've kept going and they've kept going, and now it's part of the landscape.
I'm so sorry.
Shortland Street's life was saved because TVNZ had ordered a year's worth of shows in advance, which allowed people to give it a chance.
I hated it and then started watching it, and then all of a sudden I was an every night watcher. It's like a drug. You have a little taste, all you want is more.
Over the years, it's featured every actor in New Zealand, from Timuera Morrison to Martin Chalkash, Martin Henderson to Danielle Cormack, Robin Malcolm to Dave Gibson.
Oh, touching. Got a bucket? Yes, I was on Shortland Street when I was 20 years old. Got a part on there for a month.
This is my brother, Tyrone.
Thought I was going to be famous, thought my whole world had changed, and it didn't really.
All your promises, lies.
I'll always be Nurse Uffie. I left the show 11 years ago, and I've done copious amounts of other work since, but I'll always get the taxi driver saying, "Did you appear on Shortland Street?"
New Zealand famous is Nick Harrison, who was on the show for almost 13 years.
I'm prepared to go all the way if I have to. It's going to be impossible to get away from being Nick. I've got friends who are witches, you know.
After his role came to an end, he couldn't stay away and came back as a sound recordist. And he's got some theories on why the show's been such a success.
There was nothing around at the time when it started, and except for the Australian ones. And I think that the storyline's just a bit more hard-hitting than the Aussie ones.
Oh, my God, what the hell happened?
She fell off a building trying to talk a jumper down.
I do think that the acting and stuff is a little bit higher level than the Aussie ones as well. Especially when I was on it, it was brilliant then. I mean, you look all, you know, mushy.
Would that be so bad?
It'd be weird.
Part of the success of the longevity of Shortland Street is that it mixes drama and comedy in equal lashings. You know, there's some kid dying, his liver's failing, and it's tragic.
It's been a mouse system much too long. Yeah, but it's not that bad. I mean, he's not going to die.
Meanwhile, the other story is Gina was wandering around with things stuffed in her chest, getting everyone to see whether her boobs would look better if they were bigger.
From the very first episode...
You're not in Guatemala now, Dr. Ropata.
There have been many enduring moments.
I know.
Shortland Street has continued to top the ratings with the Ferndale Strangler and the Who Killed Ethan Pierce storyline, and it even pokes fun at its own past.
You're not in Hyderabad now, Nurse Kumari. Go for it.
Shortland Street has now screened more than 4,000 episodes. It would take you 262 working days to catch up. That's a lot of New Zealand on screen.
Now, rule number 1. The white player always starts first.
Right, good one.
Here's the Maori you could take home to your mother.
He was loved by everybody. You don't hear people say they didn't like him or mention his name and someone goes, oh, I can't stand him.
He was from that Howard Morrison era of, I can sing, I'm a cabaret performer, I can do a bit of dance, gives a guitar.
Out from behind a cactus bush came Black Pete.
Just that real natural ability to walk into a room and seduce everyone and have them in the palm of your hand and sing, serenade them with song.
The musical side came from his early days in the show band The Māori Volcanics, the same group that produced Prince Tuiteka. It also provided him with material. The Volcanics toured the world, often sharing the bill with comic virtuosos.
Billy would always be on the side of the stage watching those comedians work. So you can say, oh, he was a born comedian, but it's really hard work, and he worked really hard.
What do you call a plastic Māori? I don't know. What do you call a plastic Māori? Prince Tui Tupperware.
He was bringing jokes to New Zealand that a lot of people hadn't heard and giving them a New Zealand twist.
Turangi. Nice. What do you two want this time?
To register your birthday.
Yeah. What, for running lotto?
It was important that it was a Māori telling the jokes too.
Te Pākehā, that controversial project following hard on the heels of the immensely successful Te Māori exhibition.
He was the only Maori on television apart from newsreaders and Ernie Leonard with On the Mat and things like that.
Tonight, we have a very special guest in the audience, Mr. Billy T. James. There he is.
New Zealand loved him, loved his jokes.
Oh, to hinder more for the forecast for yesterday.
Every time that Billy T would cross to himself as the weather chick and she's playing pool and she's all, oh, Gilda, you fellas, it was gold, pure gold.
Go in there, pa. Oh, hello. Oh, well, as you fellas can see, it's raining and makariri up north and windy and wetter down south. So if you fellas live in the middle, may as well stay home because no bloody good anywhere else.
Even people today who don't remember the original Lands for Bags ads still laugh at it just because of the way he carries it off.
When I give him my bag, I pinched it.
And it's just such a great little firecracker of a joke, short and sweet.
He also tried his hand at drama, a cameo in Under the Mountain and a starring role in the movie Came a Hot Friday. Director Ian Hume wanted Billy T to be the Tanuia Kid.
So I asked him to do it and he said, oh, that's acting, I don't do that.
Turns out he could, and he won Best Supporting Actor at the 1986 Film Awards.
You're wondering who am I?
His sort of performance in Came a Hot Friday showed that, he was really charismatic on the big screen.
You like the merry-go-round?
And it was a shame we didn't get more out of him.
He's brilliant, and such a dream to work with. Sad, Billy. Very sad.
Billy T. James died of a heart attack in 1990 at the age of 42.
He was taken far too young, Actually, New Zealand comedy went into mourning for a little while at his passing, and just far too young.
But not too young to leave a legacy.
If you try and find somebody in New Zealand cultural history who brought Māori and Pākehā together, I don't think they would have had the same effect as Billy T. James. I'm not saying he's Nelson Mandela, but I think he had an amazing effect, actually, on race relations and popular culture.
I arrest you for being a Soviet spy.
I'm not a Soviet spy. I'm a shepherd.
All right, then I arrest you for being a shepherd spy.
Billy T. James is held in such high regard that the New Zealand comedy industry created an award in his name. The winner gets a monetary grant and a yellow towel. They become instantly famous amongst their friends, and they blow all the money on parties. I know, I've been to some of the parties.
Coming up...
It's not often I see a movie where I have to, go, I can't watch that bit.
And...
He's like our version of David Beckham.
When Abel Tasman tried to land here in New Zealand, 4 of his crew were killed. He decided it wasn't really worth the hassle and he sailed on. 130 years later, Captain Cook became the first European to set foot on New Zealand soil, but he had fights with Māori as well. The Māori were fierce, they were warriors. But in 1990, one author, well, he kind of thought that the Maori had lost their way a bit.
Once Were Warriors has the most famous opening in New Zealand film. It begins with a typical shot of our landscape, but then reveals that it's just a picture on a motorway billboard, and the audience is then confronted with a New Zealand never before captured on film.
Once Were Warriors, that was a film that really hit home for my family. My sister really took it badly because there's a scene in the movie where there's a lot of family violence. They're all cuddled up, they're all crying in that. And she said that once upon a time, that was us.
You'll be okay, Tom.
The film was based on Alan Duff's best-selling novel.
Oh, the story comes, I guess, from first-hand experience, probably more from witnessing it than reflecting my own family situation, but I certainly saw an awful lot of violence.
And even he was moved by the film.
I went to the private screening and I was very emotional, and you know, I saw the impact that it had.
So I've never watched Once Were Warriors from beginning to end. I can't watch it. It's just way too real. That movie scares the shit out of me.
It's not often I see a movie where I have to like go, I can't watch that bit, you know? And that's one of those movies. But I still have to watch it, you know? It's a fantastic movie.
I've only ever seen it once because it's such a tough story, and I haven't been able to bring myself to watch it again.
Well, I've asked them back tonight, and you better be ready for it.
Well, it was a pretty classic kitchen sink story. I mean, this is a genre that's been around for a while, but I think Once Were Warriors